There comes a time in life when you feel lost, as if the path ahead is covered in mist and the ground beneath your feet is uncertain. It is in these moments that you must ask who is lost. Is it you, or is it just the mind tangled in its own stories? You see, feeling lost is not a curse, it is an invitation. It is life nudging you, urging you to look deeper, beyond the surface distractions. When you say, I feel lost, you are not lost. You are simply aware that the old ways no longer work and the new ones have not yet appeared. The question is, what do you do now? Do you drown in this feeling, or do you use it to find a deeper clarity? Life is never truly lost. It is only misplaced within the clutter of thoughts, desires, and borrowed identities. If you learn to pause, to sit with yourself, to embrace this uncertainty, something profound will unfold. You will realize that being lost was never the problem. It was the beginning of a new understanding. The journey of finding oneself is not about searching for a grand purpose outside. It is about clearing the inner confusion so life's natural intelligence can guide you. So if you feel lost today, congratulations, you stand at the doorway of transformation. The real question is, are you willing to walk through it? Feeling lost is not a curse, but an invitation to explore life more deeply. Yet most people see it as a problem, a state of confusion that needs to be fixed immediately. The moment they feel lost, they panic, as if something has gone terribly wrong. But has anything really gone wrong, or is it simply life telling you that it is time to look beyond the surface? From childhood, we are conditioned to believe that life should follow a fixed path. Go to school, get a job, settle down, follow a routine, and somehow happiness will magically appear. But what happens when, despite following this well-marked road, you still feel a sense of emptiness? What happens when you wake up one day and realize that what once made sense no longer feels meaningful? This is what people call feeling lost, but it is not truly being lost. It is a sign of awakening. When you feel lost, life is not punishing you. Life is simply breaking the illusion that you had everything figured out. It is an opportunity, a doorway to a deeper understanding. In moments of clarity, you may believe you are in control, that you know exactly where you are going. But the truth is, no one knows. The only difference is that some are willing to acknowledge this, while others distract themselves from it. If you feel lost, instead of trying to escape it, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is life trying to show me? Most people resist this phase, trying to fill the void with temporary distractions, social media, entertainment, or meaningless routines. But the more you avoid it, the louder it grows. This feeling is not your enemy. It is a call to explore, to go deeper into yourself. Great transformations in life do not come when everything is smooth and comfortable. They come when the known falls apart, and you are forced to look beyond the ordinary. It is in these moments that something deeper can be discovered, not through external achievements, but through inner realization. So when you feel lost, do not see it as a crisis. See it as an opportunity to pause, to question, to reflect. Life is inviting you to step beyond the mechanical routine and rediscover yourself. And if you have the courage to do so, you will see that what seemed like a moment of confusion was actually the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. You say, I feel lost. But who is lost? Is it really you, or is it just your mind wandering in its own maze of thoughts, doubts, and confusions? Most people do not stop to ask this simple yet powerful question. The moment the mind experiences uncertainty, it immediately assumes that something is wrong. But has anything truly gone wrong, or is the mind simply caught in its own web? The mind is like a restless storyteller. It creates narratives based on past experiences, future anxieties, and borrowed beliefs from society. It constantly seeks certainty, and when it doesn't find it, it declares, I am lost. But are you lost, or is the mind just uncomfortable with not knowing? There's a big difference. Think of it this way: if you are standing in an unfamiliar forest, does that mean the forest is lost? No, the forest is exactly where it has always been. It is only your mind that is unsure of the way forward. But instead of pausing and observing, you panic, assuming that being in an unknown place is a problem. In reality, the forest has not changed, only your perspective has. Similarly, when you say you are lost in life, life itself has not gone anywhere. The sun still rises, the wind still blows, and the earth still spins. What has changed is your attachment to certain ideas about yourself. Perhaps you thought you knew who you were, what you wanted, and where you were headed. But now something within you is questioning it all. And because the mind is uncomfortable with uncertainty, it calls this feeling being lost. But take a closer look. If you were truly lost, you wouldn't even be aware of it. The very fact that you can say, "I feel lost," means that something within you is observing this state. That awareness is not lost. It is simply watching the mind struggle with its own illusions. The problem is people identify too much with their thoughts. They believe that whatever the mind says must be true. But the mind is like a radio station that picks up signals from everywhere: past conditioning, fears, societal expectations. If you listen to it without awareness, it will make you believe all kinds of things, including the idea that you are lost. If you drop this identification for a moment, if you step back and simply observe the mind, you will see that nothing has actually gone wrong. You are not lost, you are simply standing at the edge of something new. But instead of embracing it, the mind resists, desperately clinging to what is familiar. This resistance is what creates suffering, not the situation itself. Life is never truly lost. It is only the mind that gets tangled in its own stories. And the more you believe these stories, the more lost you feel. But the moment you realize that you are not the mind, that you are something far deeper, an awareness that watches without fear, you will see that there is no need to struggle. You will see that this very feeling of being lost is simply a moment of transition, an opportunity to step beyond the limitations of thought and into something far more profound. When you say you feel lost, what you are truly experiencing is a shift in inner transformation where the old ways no longer work, yet the new ones have not yet appeared. This space in between, this unfamiliar territory, feels unsettling because the mind craves certainty. It wants to hold on to what is familiar, even if that familiarity no longer serves you. For years, you may have followed a particular path, believing it to be the right one. Perhaps it was a career, a relationship, a belief system, or an identity that once felt meaningful. But suddenly something within you has changed. The things that once gave you purpose no longer spark the same excitement. The ideas that once felt solid now seem hollow. You are standing at a crossroads, but there is no clear sign pointing the way forward. This is when most people panic. They mistake this transition for failure, for something being wrong. But look deeper. This feeling of uncertainty is not the end. It is a sign that you are growing beyond your old limitations. If the old ways no longer work, it means they were never meant to last forever. Life is a constant movement and unfolding process. The tree does not cling to its old leaves when autumn arrives. It lets them go, trusting that spring will bring new ones. But humans, trapped in the rigidity of their minds, try to hold on to what no longer fits, fearing the unknown that lies ahead. This in-between phase is where transformation happens, but transformation is uncomfortable. It requires you to sit in the unknown, to allow space for something new to emerge without rushing to fill the void with familiar distractions. Yet most people do the opposite. The moment they feel lost, they scramble to find quick solutions, to return to what feels safe, even if that safety is an illusion. They force themselves into decisions, into roles that no longer resonate simply because they cannot bear the discomfort of uncertainty. But here's the truth: the new path cannot appear while you are clinging to the old one. If you are willing to let go, if you are willing to be patient with this process, something remarkable happens. Clarity arises not through frantic searching, but through stillness. When you stop fighting the unknown, you begin to see that it is not empty, it is full of possibilities waiting to be discovered. So if the old ways no longer work and the new ones have not yet appeared, do not despair. You are in the middle of a profound transformation. The caterpillar does not fear the cocoon, even though it does not yet know what it will become. It simply surrenders to the process, and when the time is right, the butterfly emerges not because it forced the change, but because it allowed it to happen. In the same way, if you trust this space of uncertainty, if you allow yourself to sit with it rather than run from it, something new will take shape. It may not happen overnight, and it may not look the way you expected, but when it does, you will realize that what you once called being lost was actually the necessary pause before a deeper clarity unfolded. Life is never truly lost. It is only hidden beneath mental clutter. The idea of being lost is not a reality. It is merely a perception created by the mind. Life itself continues to move just as the river flows, whether you are aware of its direction or not. The sun rises and sets, the seasons change, and the pulse of existence never stops. So when you say, I feel lost, what has truly been lost? Has life itself stopped? Has the earth ceased to spin? Or is it simply that your mind is overwhelmed with too much noise to see clearly? The mind is like a room filled with endless voices, thoughts, expectations, fears, opinions of others, past regrets, and future anxieties. When the room is too crowded, you cannot hear yourself. You cannot see what is already present because the clutter is too thick. And when clarity is buried beneath this mental chaos, the illusion of being lost is born. Most people do not realize that the sense of being lost is not due to a lack of direction, but an excess of distractions. Society bombards you with ideas of what success should look like, what happiness should feel like, and who you are supposed to be. Your mind absorbs all of this layer upon layer until your own voice becomes buried beneath expectations that are not even yours. Then one day you wake up feeling disconnected, unsure of what you want, uncertain of who you are. But is this really being lost, or is it simply the weight of unnecessary clutter clouding your inner clarity? If you take a moment to step back, to observe rather than react, you will see that life itself is never lost. It is only covered, like the sky, hidden behind thick clouds. The sky does not disappear just because you cannot see it. It is always there, vast and endless. Similarly, your path, your truth, your clarity, it's never lost. It is only waiting to be seen. But to see clearly, you must first declutter the mind. You must let go of the noise, the borrowed beliefs, the constant distractions that keep you from hearing your own inner guidance. People fill their lives with endless activities, with screens, with entertainment, with validation from others, all in an attempt to avoid the discomfort of silence. But it is in silence that the answers reveal themselves. It is in stillness that the path becomes visible. The moment you stop trying to force clarity, the moment you stop chasing external solutions, a shift happens. The fog begins to lift, and you realize that you were never truly lost. You were only disconnected from your own awareness. The answers were always there beneath the clutter, waiting for you to notice them. So if you feel lost, do not try to fix it by adding more noise. Instead, remove what is unnecessary. Sit with yourself, observe your thoughts, and see what is truly yours and what has been imposed upon you. As the unnecessary layers fall away, you will find that life was never lost. It was only waiting for you to see it clearly once again. But instead of fighting the feeling of being lost, embrace it and observe what it reveals. Most people treat uncertainty as a problem, something to be fixed as quickly as possible. The moment they feel lost, they panic and rush to find answers. But in doing so, they miss the very lesson that life is trying to teach them. The discomfort of being lost is not an enemy, it is a messenger, trying to show you something deeper about yourself. Why do we resist this feeling so much? Because the mind is addicted to control. It wants to believe that it knows everything, that it has a clear direction at all times. When life presents a situation where clarity is missing, the mind reacts with fear. It tells you this is bad, you need to fix this. But what if there is nothing to fix? What if feeling lost is simply an invitation to pause, to listen, to reflect? If you look at nature, nothing is ever truly lost. The river does not struggle to find the ocean, it simply flows. The seed does not panic when it is buried underground, wondering if it will ever sprout. It simply waits for the right conditions. In the same way, when you feel lost, instead of resisting, try being with it. Observe what it is trying to show you. Perhaps life is telling you that the path you were following was never really yours. Perhaps it is nudging you to let go of old identities, beliefs, or expectations that no longer serve you. If you can sit with this feeling instead of running from it, a new understanding will arise. But this requires patience. It requires trust. It requires the courage to step into the unknown without immediately grasping for answers. Most people never give themselves this space. The moment they feel lost, they seek distractions, social media, entertainment, mindless routines, and to avoid sitting with themselves. But clarity does not come from distractions. It comes from awareness. It comes from being fully present with the discomfort and seeing what lies beneath it. If you observe carefully, you will see that the feeling of being lost is not random. It arises when the old ways no longer serve you, when life is asking you to expand beyond your current limitations. If you fight it, you prolong your suffering. But if you embrace it, if you sit in that space of not knowing with openness, something remarkable happens. The mind settles, and in that stillness, a new path begins to emerge, not from fear, but from a deeper wisdom within you. So instead of fighting the feeling of being lost, allow it to be there. Observe it like a curious traveler exploring a new land. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to show me? What is life asking me to see that I have been ignoring? When you approach it this way, being lost is no longer a problem. It becomes a doorway to something new, a bridge between who you were and who you are meant to become. True clarity comes when you stop seeking outside and start understanding within. Most people spend their entire lives searching for meaning in the external world. They look for success, relationships, approval, and achievements, believing that these things will give them a sense of direction. But the more they chase, the more restless they become. The search never truly ends because they are looking in the wrong place. The answers they seek are not out there, they have always been within. When you feel lost, the instinct is to ask others for guidance. You seek advice from family, friends, experts, anyone who can tell you what to do. You read books, watch videos, and consume endless information, hoping to find a solution. But no one else can walk your path for you. No one else carries your experiences, your opinions, or your deepest truth. What works for someone else may not work for you because your journey is unique. The real clarity you seek will not come from external voices, it will come from your own inner wisdom. But to hear that wisdom, you must first create silence. The mind is filled with noise, expectations, opinions, fears, and desires that cloud your judgment. It tells you what you should want, how you should live, what success should look like. But are these voices truly yours, or have they been borrowed from the world around you? If you do not take time to question them, you may spend your whole life chasing goals that were never really yours to begin with. The reason most people feel lost is not that life lacks meaning, but that they have been looking in the wrong direction. Imagine a person searching for water in the desert while standing next to a flowing river. They are so focused on what they think they should be doing that they miss what is already present. The same is true for clarity. It does not need to be found, it only needs to be seen. This is why stillness is so important. When you stop running, when you stop trying to force answers, something shifts. In that space of silence, your real desires begin to surface. Your inner voice, which has been drowned out by the noise of the world, starts to speak. It does not shout, it whispers. And if you are patient enough to listen, it will guide you in a way no external source ever could. Most people do not trust their own inner knowing. They doubt themselves, thinking, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I fail? But failure only happens when you ignore your truth and follow a path that is not yours. The moment you begin to trust yourself, to listen deeply, the path begins to reveal itself, not all at once, but step by step. So if you feel lost, do not seek more answers outside. Seek fewer distractions. Stop looking for validation from others and start asking yourself, what do I truly want? What brings me peace? What excites me? Not because society says it should, but because it feels right in my soul. When you ask these questions, when you turn inward instead of outward, clarity is no longer something you need to chase. It becomes something that naturally arises, as if it was waiting for you to notice it all along. The fear of uncertainty is what makes you feel lost, but uncertainty itself is not the problem. Look closely, what is it that makes you uncomfortable when you feel lost? Is it the actual situation, or is it the fact that you do not know what will happen next? Most people are not afraid of being lost, they are afraid of not having control over the future. The mind craves certainty, and when it cannot find it, it creates anxiety. But the truth is, life has never been certain. It has always been unpredictable, always changing. Since childhood, you have been conditioned to believe that having a plan means having security. Study well, get a good job, buy a house, follow a structured path, and everything will be fine. But life does not work like that. Even the most well-planned lives can be disrupted in an instant. A career can end, a relationship can change, circumstances can shift without warning. Yet people cling to the illusion of control because they fear what will happen if they let go. But look around, everything in nature thrives in uncertainty. The seed does not know if it will become a tree, yet it grows. The river does not know its exact path, yet it flows effortlessly toward the ocean. The bird does not store food for years, yet it trusts that each day it will find what it needs. There is no anxiety in nature, no desperate need for certainty, only trust in the process of life. But humans, caught in their minds, resist this natural flow. Instead of embracing uncertainty, they fight it, and in that struggle, they create suffering. If you look deeper, you will see that uncertainty is not the enemy, it is the birthplace of all possibilities. Everything new, everything great has always come from stepping into the unknown. A traveler who never leaves familiar roads will never discover new lands. An artist who only paints what they already know will never create something original. If you want to grow, if you want to truly experience life, you must be willing to step into uncertainty, not as a problem, but as an adventure. The feeling of being lost is not a punishment, it is an opportunity. It is life inviting you to move beyond the known, to explore, to see things differently. But instead of accepting this invitation, most people shrink back in fear. They try to force certainty where there is none. They cling to old ideas, old routines, and familiar but unfulfilling lives, just because they are afraid of what will happen if they let go. But here's the truth, nothing truly alive is ever certain. The moment something becomes completely predictable, it becomes lifeless. If your entire future was already known, if there were no surprises, no discoveries, no possibilities beyond what you can see right now, would that even be a life worth living? It is uncertainty that makes life exciting. It is uncertainty that keeps you growing, learning, and evolving. So instead of fearing uncertainty, embrace it. Instead of seeing it as something to fix, see it as something to explore. When you do, you will realize that you were never really lost, only standing at the edge of something new, waiting for the courage to step forward. When you feel lost, it is often because you are disconnected from the present moment. The mind is either caught in the past, replaying old memories and regrets, or projecting into the future, creating endless worries about what is to come. In both cases, you are not here in this moment where life is actually happening. Think about it, when was the last time you truly experienced life without distractions? Not just going through the motions, but fully present, fully aware. Most people live in a state of constant mental noise. They wake up thinking about what they need to do, spend the day rushing from one task to another, and go to bed with a mind full of unfinished thoughts. They're physically here, but mentally they are somewhere else, lost in an endless stream of past and future. But what is the past? It is gone. No matter how much you think about it, you cannot change it. And what is the future? It has not arrived. No amount of planning or worrying can make it unfold exactly the way you expect. Yet people spend their lives trapped in these two illusions, missing the only reality they have, the present moment. Feeling lost is not a sign that something is wrong with your life. It is a sign that you are not fully here in the now. The moment you bring your awareness back to the present, the feeling of being lost begins to dissolve. Because in this moment you are not lost, you are simply here, breathing, existing, alive. Everything else is just a story in your mind, but how do you reconnect with the present? First, by slowing down, by becoming aware of what is happening right now. Take a breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, listen to the sounds around you. Notice the sensations in your body. These small acts of awareness bring you back to the present, where clarity naturally arises. Most people think that finding their path means making big decisions, changing careers, traveling the world, or seeking new experiences. But before any of that, it begins with being fully present. When you are lost in thought, trying to figure out the entire path ahead, you miss the step that is right in front of you. Life is not revealed all at once, it unfolds moment by moment. If you are not present, you will not see the next step. There is a story of a traveler walking through a dense forest at night with only a small lantern. The lantern does not illuminate the entire path, but it shows just enough for the next few steps. And that is all that is needed. If the traveler focuses only on what is immediately visible, step by step, they eventually reach their destination. But if they stand still, overwhelmed by the darkness ahead, they will never move forward. Life works the same way. If you try to figure out everything at once, you will feel lost. But if you simply focus on the present moment, on what is right in front of you, the next step will reveal itself naturally. You do not need to have all the answers. You only need to be here, fully present, fully aware. The rest will take care of itself, Todd. The reason you feel lost is not because life lacks meaning, but because you have not yet created meaning for yourself. Most people assume that meaning is something they must find, as if it is a hidden treasure buried somewhere in the world. They spend years searching for it, hoping that one day they will stumble upon a perfect purpose that gives their life direction. But meaning is not something you find, it is something you create. Look at a blank canvas. It has no meaning on its own. But the moment an artist picks up a brush and begins to paint, the canvas starts to take shape. The same is true for life. It is not something that comes with a kick purpose. It is something you shape with your actions, your thoughts, and your choices. The problem is that most people wait. They wait for inspiration, for the right circumstances, for a sign from the universe. But life does not work that way. If you sit and wait for meaning, you will remain lost. But if you begin to create, to engage with life, meaning starts to emerge. The mistake people make is believing that meaning must be grand, that it must be something world-changing. But meaning is not about size, it is about depth. A person who dedicates themselves to teaching children to read, a person who grows a small garden with love, a person who simply chooses to be kind every day, they are all creating meaning. It does not have to be something extraordinary. It only has to be something that resonates with you. Most of the time, people feel lost because they are chasing someone else's definition of meaning. They compare themselves to others and think, I should be doing something bigger. I should have a clear direction like them. But meaning is not a competition. What matters is not what others find meaningful, but what brings you a sense of fulfillment. If you feel lost, stop searching for meaning outside. Instead, ask yourself, what do I enjoy? What makes me feel alive? What small actions bring me a sense of peace or excitement? It does not have to be a lifelong purpose. Even small things, learning a new skill, helping someone, exploring something new can bring a sense of direction. The more you engage with life, the more meaning begins to take shape. Imagine two people standing by a river. One is waiting for a boat to arrive, hoping it will take them somewhere meaningful. The other simply steps into the water and begins to move, discovering the journey as they go. The first person may wait forever, lost in uncertainty. The second person may not know where they are going at first, but as they move, the path begins to reveal itself. Meaning is not given, it is created. And the only way to create it is to stop waiting, stop searching, and start engaging with life in the smallest, simplest ways. When you do, you will realize that you were never really lost. You were only standing still, waiting for something that was always in your hands to create. The reason you feel lost is because you have not yet fully embraced who you are. Instead of living in alignment with your true nature, you have been shaped by expectations from society, family, friends, and even yourself. You were taught what success should look like, what happiness should mean, what kind of person you should become. But deep inside, there is a part of you that knows when something does not feel right. That inner voice, however faint, whispers that the life you are living may not truly be yours. When you live according to external expectations, there will always be a sense of disconnect. You may achieve everything that the world considers valuable status, wealth, recognition, but if it does not resonate with your true self, it will feel empty. This is why people who seem to have it all still feel lost. They have followed a path that was given to them, not one they truly chose. But the problem is, most people are afraid to be themselves. They fear rejection, criticism, or failure. They think, what if people don't accept me? What if I take a different path and it doesn't work? So instead of listening to their inner calling, they suppress it, they wear masks, play roles, and try to fit into molds that were never meant for them. And doing so, they lose touch with themselves. But here's the truth, no one else can live your life for you. No one else can define your purpose, your joy, your meaning. The more you try to be what others expect, the more lost you will feel. Because deep inside, your true self is waiting to be acknowledged. It does not need approval. It does not need validation. It only needs you to have the courage to say, this is who I am, and this is the life I choose. Think about a tree. It does not try to be like the tree next to it. It simply grows in its own way, according to its own nature. If it tried to bend itself into another shape just to fit in, it would never grow to its full potential. The same is true for you. If you are always trying to be someone else, you will never discover the power of being fully yourself. The feeling of being lost is not a mistake, it is a signal. It is life telling you that it is time to look inward, to strip away the false identities, and to reconnect with who you truly are. Not who society says you should be, not who your past has conditioned you to be, but who you are at your core. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you start embracing your true self, the feeling of being lost begins to fade. Because when you live in alignment with who you really are, you no longer need a map. You are the path. The choices you make, the things you create, the way you express yourself, all of it begins to feel natural, effortless, fulfilling. So if you feel lost, ask yourself, am I truly being myself? Or am I just playing a role that was given to me? The moment you start living as you, the path will reveal itself, and you will see you were never lost. You were just waiting to find you. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, if you feel lost, understand that it is not a curse, it is an invitation. An invitation to step beyond your fears, to break free from old patterns, and to look within instead of seeking outside. Life is not meant to be a straight, predictable path. It is meant to be an adventure. The moments when you feel lost are not the end of your journey. They are the turning points, the pauses that allow something new to emerge. Instead of resisting, embrace this space of not knowing. Let go of the need for absolute certainty, and instead trust the process of life. Slow down, become present, and listen not to the noise of the world, but to the voice within. The answers you seek are not hidden somewhere far away. They are already inside you, waiting for you to be still enough to hear them. Remember, you do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to see the entire path. All you need is to take the next step with awareness, with courage, and with trust. Life will not always give you a map, but it will always give you a direction if you are willing to listen. So do not fear being lost. See it as an opportunity. See it as a sign that you are growing, evolving, stepping into something greater. And when you do, you will realize you were never truly lost. You were simply on the way to finding yourself.